All right, so today we're gonna be talking about something near and dear to my heart, and that is paying all cash for your vehicles. Come at me, bro.
Okay, paying all cash for your vehicles if the vehicle costs how much money?
I have a simple formula that I use.
Mm-hmm.
You should not own anything with wheels that equals more than half of your household income.
Okay, that's fair. I don't see a problem with that. But you're saying you should buy a car cash even if the car is worth 30,000, 40,000.
Simple formula.
Okay.
You should not own more than half of your, take home household income yearly
Mm-hmm.
in things with wheels. So if you're married and your household income is $100,000,
Yeah.
you or your wife combined should have no more than $50,000 in cars. You, your wife, and your kids combined should not have more than $50,000 in wheels.
No, I understand that, but you're saying, let's just say you do want to go buy a $50,000 car. You think buy it cash. Say your wife and you make $100,000, right?
Yes.
You're saying drop $50,000 in cash on a car.
I say you and your wife should both drive $25,000 cars.
In cash, though. That was the argument.
Yes.
Okay, in cash. Why not finance?
Number one, I would consider that consumer debt.
Okay.
And I think the shortest path between you and becoming a millionaire is not having debt to start. Because if you're giving your money away every month, how are you supposed to grow your net worth? How are you supposed to make money? So now, instead of having that monthly payment, you could dollar cost average in the stock market that same car note every month. And guess what? You'll be growing that money instead of growing their pockets by paying them interest every month. Now, of course, you can't come to this overnight, right? So I say, get a car, cash car, and then you just move up step by step over time. Because with financing, you're effectively paying, sometimes even double for the car, depending on how bad the interest rate is and how bad your credit is. And then depreciation is hitting you upside the head because now you're paying more for a car that's losing value. So at least when I buy a car cash, I can stop the bleeding that way. I'm paying whatever it is that I agreed to pay for that car. If it's $50K, that's it. That's all I paid for that car. So when that depreciation is hitting, $10K one year, $10K the next year, and it's only worth $30,000, at least I only paid $50. But when you have that finance, right, that $50,000 car, you could be on the hook for $60,000 for it. And now you're on the hook for $60,000 for a car that's $30,000. And we all know something that happens to people at times, and that's becoming upside down in your car payment.
Right.
And you could talk to them a little bit about that.
No, I mean, I just feel like a lot of people don't have $50,000 or even $25,000 to drop cash money on. So, I mean, I guess I would advise if you're trying to buy, the car that you want, even if it is 50% of your take-home income, I think you should, finance. You could find some type of index fund that you can invest in, maybe make that 8% interest rate, like you said. I don't think I would advise anyone to drop $50,000 or $25,000 times two on anything. I'd rather finance. Or if you're gonna buy a cash car, it would make sense to spend about $5K to $10,000 cash because you already know what that value of the car is going to be worth at that point because it's probably some 2015 or 16 car model, right? So if you're not into buying liabilities and you just want to get from point A to point B, get the Honda, get the Civic, get the the Camry. That's what I would advise. Now, maybe cars like Jeep Wranglers, they hold their value, right?
Yep.
Or a Tesla, like we were talking before, holds the value. And there are some other things like Lexuses or your Camrys. I wouldn't, drop some cash on that. What's the car? I think it's a Prius. Prius is also
Yes.
another option where it holds its value too.
But you're not gonna be riding clean at all in that. Heck no.
No,
But
nah, not at all.
I don't have an issue against a Prius. I get it as a point A to point B car.
Right.
But here's my question to you. So why is it wrong, in your opinion, to drop $25,000 in one sitting for a car, but it's okay to spend $35,000 for that car over a 6-year period?
It just depends on your cash flow. If you were able to, like I said, invest in something else, either real estate, Fundrise, which is an e-read account, or some index fund, you can get that interest back. So if you can invest in the stock market, you're just simply paying for that car value, not the interest. But it just depends on your cash flow. A lot of people don't have, tens of thousands of dollars coming in every month. So it just depends on every situation. I mean, I wouldn't recommend anybody buying a cash car if they don't have 25 times. What is it? 100?
I'm not gonna say 100 times the car.
Okay.
But okay, my question to you is
Yeah.
because I'm gonna keep pushing you on this.
Okay.
But why is it okay?
Yeah.
To over a 6-year period or 5-year period, but most people get 6-year car notes.
Right.
Is it okay to spend $5,000 to $10,000 more than you even agreed to buy the car for on a $25,000 car, but it's not okay to drop it all cash? Because I had somebody I was speaking to earlier this week that says you should never tell anybody to buy a car all cash. That's horrible advice. But I want to know why.
I wouldn't say it's horrible advice, but I have a cap. My cap is $10,000 all cash. Because, like I said, you're going to assess that depreciation value. Because it's an older car. You know how many people have driven in it. You can check the Carfax. And it's just going to get you from point A to point B. And that's all a car is. Now, if you're trying to buy something to finesse or flex or do whatever people are trying to do on Instagram, then I would stay away from that altogether. And maybe finance that option if you don't care about your finances. You know what I'm saying?
So now you bring me to my point. I think we can both agree that after a certain dollar amount, a car goes from being an essential item to becoming a toy.
It becomes more of a status symbol for some people. Now, it just depends because, like I said, there are cars that you can finance that aren't going to depreciate in value, and it might be worth that interest payment. If you can invest in the stock market, like I said, your Wranglers. A Wrangler is a great car. It gets you from point A to point B. It's stylish, and it holds the value. It's a great car. It's safe, right?
I'm not contesting that, but my point is that it's a toy.
Not necessarily. You could
have any other car. You can find plenty of reliable cars for under $10,000.
Don't disagree.
Plenty.
I don't disagree.
So anything above that is a toy. You're buying it to get something more than just a driving, right? You're driving it for status. You're driving it because you like how it runs.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying? You're driving it to enhance you. Maybe it'll get you more dates. I don't know.
Okay.
So once you start getting into that territory, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't go to a Louis Vuitton store and put a Louis Vuitton belt on a credit card and pay monthly on that.
Never.
You know why? Because that's a luxury. So I think after a certain point, a car becomes a luxury. And if you're going to buy that luxury, if you say, hey, I want a $50,000 car, hey, I'm all about people working hard and buying the things they want. But since you want to buy it, go buy it. Go put that $50,000 large on the table. And if you can't do that, then maybe you don't need to buy it. Is all I'm saying. Because you obviously don't want it. You want to say, I'm going to use somebody else's money on it and let them hit me upside the head for 60 months or however many months, 72 months. And I'm not going to be able to reach you're not going to be able to reach your goals because you're paying them $600, $700 a month car note when you can pay the car all cash and invest that $600, $700 a month into yourself. Now, I understand what you're saying. If you're not in the best financial situation, even making $100,000, you shouldn't buy a $50,000 car all cash.
Right.
You need to be in that $5,000 to $10,000 paid off vehicle and get your affairs together. So if you have a good cash position, why not buy a $50,000 car all cash?
Yeah, if you have a good cash position, but I'm talking about a cash position of at least, I don't know, $250,000. That would make sense to go buy a cash a car all cash. The only time that somebody that even if they make $100,000 to have a car that's worth 50 or 60, 100,000 is if they have a car allowance from either their company or some type of other passive income, something that's gonna subsidize that car payment.
That'll be the only time I agree to a car payment.
Yeah, for sure.
That'll be that I won't argue
because it doesn't affect you.
But I think it's all coming back to this one singular point because people like to pick out the part that I say buy a car all cash. That's crazy. Why'd you spend all that money at once? Look, if you don't have it, don't do it. Yeah. But here's my thing. Here's why I get offended. If you have a $20,000 cash position, if you have some people have a $5,000 cash position, and then they go buy $60,000 cars. Okay. Why don't you have that negative energy for that?
Because those people want to show people something, right? They want to hop on Instagram. That's what a lot of people like to do. And they want to drive from point A to point B and let people know that they're in a luxury vehicle. That means that they make a lot of money. That's why people are doing it. That there has value to them. Showing somebody that they have something is of value to some people.
That's
especially
great.
if you come from a low income area. You know what I mean? Hey, this is a status symbol. I did something.
And I want to help people have real value. Yeah. So if you want that $50,000 car, go ahead and get it, but don't get it until you can pay for it all cash. Because, right, nobody in their right mind is going to have $50,000 in the bank and then buy a $50,000 car, right? They're going to want to insulate themselves in some way from that money that they're dropping for that car, right? But a lot of people, again, will have a very low cash position and go buy a $60,000 car finance. And when it's the same thing, you're on the hook for it. Right. Because when you go, if you go into financial ruin 2 years into it, it'll probably get repoed. Then they're probably going to put that on your credit. And you're probably going to owe them $30,000 to $40,000 on a car that you don't even have anymore.
I don't disagree with that. But I don't think anybody should buy $50,000 cars, period. Cash or anything. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Because it's not going to hold the value. It's a liability. Like I said, the only cars that are going to hold the value.
Wait. Yeah. So finance or not?
Yeah.
I don't got no problem with that. But acting like buying a car all cash is worse than financing a car, I reject that idea.
They shouldn't be buying $50,000 cars. I don't disagree with that.
I won't argue with that either.
I don't disagree with that. But dropping $50,000 on a $50,000 car, if you have it or not, is not smart to me.
Unless you have the cash.
Unless you have a lot of cash, yes.
But if you got it, I'm not going to knock you.
I mean, to each his own, right?
But how can you knock somebody? Okay, if somebody pays $50,000 for a car, it's less than half of their annual income. Okay. They're still making money. They're still investing money.
Yeah.
And they're not asking anybody for money. They're not asking anybody to help them pay their bills. I cannot be mad at them. Do what you want with your money. That's the thing. Take some of your money and enjoy it. Right. Make a budget for fun money. And if you can use that fun money to fund you buying a $50,000 car all cash, I'm all for it. So I'm not going to judge you on that. People are going to have nice cars. That's what there's an industry for. What I don't like is don't overextend yourself trying to have this car. Do not finance any car. If you want to move up in vehicle, it's simple. Start with whatever you have. You got $3,000 cash, buy a $3,000 car. Make sure you buy right, whether it be a Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, Toyota Camry, something like that, where you can buy it for $3,000 and in a year sell it for $3,000 still. You buy it for $3,000. You save up more money. You save up $5,000. You sell that $3,000 car. You add your $5,000. You move up to an $8,000 vehicle, and then you keep going through that process until you get into a car that you're comfortable in. And then once you have financial freedom, you have no debt, and you're able to save more than 50% of your annual income, whether it be into investing accounts or into a savings account, then you can start buying these luxury cars all cash without a worry. Because at the end of the day, if you have no debt and you buy a $50,000 car and you're still making money, you're not worried. And if you have to take the L on that car and sell it, number one, I said don't buy any car brand new, right? You got to at least let 2 years to depreciate it, hit it before you buy it. Okay. That's off top. So I'm not recommending anybody buy a brand new car all cash unless you're a millionaire. Then do what you want, because it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter at that point. But
Okay.
yeah, you go ahead and do that because even if you hit financial ruin, right? Imagine this, right?
Yeah.
You don't buy the car all cash.
Yeah.
You have a good job, right? You're
Right.
I don't know, a lawyer. You're making six figures.
Sure.
Life is good.
Yeah.
You finance a BMW 5 Series.
Yeah.
$60K. You're paying $700-800 a month car note, but you got it. It's fine.
Sure.
Bam, you lose your job. You got this car note waiting on you. Guess what? You're upside down. So
it's possible.
The car is worth $30,000, but you owe
Right.
40 something thousand.
And that's why I say get a car that's not going to lose the value, or get a cash car.
But
There are
look,
but
we gotta talk about most individuals.
Yeah, most
There's
individuals
very few
need
cars
to fit,
that hold value.
and I just named them.
I know
The Wrangler,
but everybody
the
doesn't
Tesla,
want that.
your Camrys,
But
your Priuses, right?
I get that.
All
But
right.
let me give the scenario. So now you're upside down in that car. What are you gonna do? Now you're gonna be having to go look to your credit union and say, hey, can you give me the loan for the difference? I want to sell this car, but give me a loan for the difference between what this car is worth and what I'm able to sell it for. Or if you paid it off all cash and you were just that strapped for money, you can go sell that car, and whatever you get is what you put in the bank. Yeah, you took a hit with depreciation, but at least you got the cash money. You can go take that money that you sold the car for and pay some bills.
It sounds simple, and I understand where you're coming from. But all I have to say is, if you're going to finance a car, make sure you do your reports. Look at your Carfax, right? Look at the cars that hold value. I don't see a problem with financing a car. There's nothing wrong with that. The only time that you should buy a car cash is if you're looking for one of those real cash cars that's going to get you from point A to point B, which means work, school, Jack in the Box, wherever you like to go. It doesn't matter. Other than that, I mean, you shouldn't own the car. $35,000, $45,000 car for what? It doesn't make any sense. Like you said, it's a toy.
I agree. But if you have it, why not? And you have it when you can buy it cash.
And you could buy it 10 times.
Maybe if that's a formula you want to use, but I would say for a car, at least be able to buy it 3 times before you buy it cash.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
I think that's fair. But yeah, I mean, we didn't touch on leasing, but I think we both have negative feelings about that.
No, I mean, you should lease a car. This is my thing. A lot of people want the new car, right? They want a style and profile in the new car. So a lease is not the best financial option. But if you don't care about your finances and you're going around trying to stone on people, the lease is a good option. But, you know, in all seriousness, the only time that you should lease a car is if you have an allowance.
So my take on leases is this. The everyday American should never lease a car.
Okay.
You should never lease a car because you go into the financing room at the car dealership and they say, well, if you finance this car, it'll be $700 a month with this much down payment. You're like, I don't have that. Oh, but if you lease it, it's $500 a month, but only this much down. You should never lease a car because of that. The only way I would imagine I would lease a car, so this is simply what I would do, right? Yeah. So if I'm an athlete, NBA player, I'm not driving that much anyways, but when I drive, I want to drive new and in style. And that car is maybe worth $100,000, $150,000, something like that. And I make millions. So the car itself is insignificant amount. I can go and sell that car anytime I feel like it, right?
Right.
Or, buy that car anytime I feel like it. Then it's okay to go ahead and get a lease. Because at that point, you just want to drive something different every time, right? And it's such a small part of your overall net worth and income, then it doesn't matter. It's just more convenient. Like, you don't have to buy and sell, right? So you get a lease, you turn in that car, and you get your next car. Because you're an athlete, that might be a part of your brand.
Right.
I understand that. But then we're talking, $150,000 car for somebody who's making $10-15 million a year. Would you agree?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just feel like the lease option, like I said, if you were to try to get into something new every 3 years, you wanted something brand new, and you were trying to stunt, flex, lease option is a good option. But only for those that make a substantial amount of money. I definitely agree with that.
So what's your official stance? Buy it all cash, finance and lease.
Buy it all cash if it's under $10,000. Finance a car that's going to hold its value, that's going to get you from point A to point B and it's safe. And if you have an allowance from your company, or like you said, if you're a big time athlete or an actor or whatever, then yeah, leasing a car is a good option for you.
Okay, well there you have it. You know our stances when it comes to leasing, financing, and buying all cash.